and chaotically is probably 3,000 to 4,000 Holocene specimens, and I probably have 2,000 sort of late terminal Pleistocene cast and material. So I go on a wide-ranging things for teaching purposes. This semester I'm teaching history of vertebrates, so I was pulling out before you came. This has nothing to do with archaeology, but all with paleontology. I have to talk about the first eggs. So I have some dinosaur eggshell fragments that a colleague has given me. I have some cast of a mammal-like reptile, some footprints from a mammal-like reptile. So I was just contemplating in cast and materials when we have to talk about first eggs, to show students the sort of material that paleontologists work with. So throughout around you are reference materials, and they are actually taxonomically organized. On that, you've got one of my pathological snapping turtle shells. Among one of my other training is that I do a lot of pathology work, and one of the few specialists that goes into that kind of detail. What you have as far as active collections, this one is coming from upstate New York and New Paltz. This is the first Huguenot settlement, known as the Huguenot Historic District, and I'm going through a collection of animal bone here. This is mostly cattle. Here's a fun one. This is a deer antler. So this is about from 1650. The Dutch had wanted someone desperately to come into the Kingston area because Albany was isolated and New York was isolated, nothing in between, and the Brits were coming through Massachusetts colony. So they were desperate to get anybody. They got the Huguenots, who were basically not loved anywhere in Europe, and stuck them in the middle of nowhere. If you can picture 1650, in the middle of nowhere, which is New Paltz. Now it's quite gorgeous. Then it was sort of the back of the moon. And so we're looking at the first settlement and colonization of what's going on here, of the Huguenots coming in under Dutch control. So I've shown you a piece of antler. This is definitely butchered, and you've got some hack marks. You could start to see some of the marks near my thumb on there. I'm not sure what they were doing. Often, since you were talking about combs, the comb plates and also the base of the plates are often made of antler. It's stronger if you got fresh antler than bone, and it's more resilient, so it will give you a better bend. So I'm not sure. I was looking at some waste of a comb maker. In this case, they would want the wider pieces down in that fashion. Let me show you some of the things. We'll first go forensic anthropology. This is a battery. This is actually one of the nice ones with things in the lab. I maintain a known reference series. So when I'm aging human skeletal material, almost every forensic anthropologist has this in their labs. So we go from anything from fetal, known times. These are cast, by the way. There's nothing original here. This is just straight out cast material.
Reference stuff.
But this is a known cast set. We know where it comes from. We know the age specifically. So this was taken as a medical thing, and then they made casts from it, and from there we purchase our material from several suppliers that do that. So there is a newborn. Then we go down in age to things.
It doesn't survive as much, that bone.
No, but
why is that? Softer?
It's, well, two things. One, it's not heavily as mineralized as bone. Bone has got a number of calcium salts and phosphate salts, but you have to slowly mature to get the full battery of it. There could be diseases as well on there. In Staten Island, I first thought I had one infant, and then I realized I was basically in a grave of maybe 15 infants.
That's the Marine Hospital?
That was the, yeah. And so this became an absolute necessity to separate out the ages. So here you have about a 6 month to a year and a half. I go down to, there's a teenager. This is only an 8-year-old. So in basing that and then knowing my formulas, and there's a number of formulas we do measure and go through a bunch of statistics, multivariate statistics and such, we can actually do aging on that. So that's what this battery of cast is for. So I do handle with the human material. These are variations of human teeth. And in this case here, what I'm eventually doing is trying to get down to your racial affinity. These are incisors. By scoring, as you can see the numbers, I take a tooth and I score it, and eventually I'll do the math as to how many of the particular things. So if you're looking for a true Native American, where are my shovel shapes? Here are your shovel shapes. You want to see something more like that for a true Native American as opposed to a European. It can occur, but not as higher frequency. There's shovel shapes there as well. So we spend time looking endlessly at teeth to categorize humans as to what racial affinity you may be in. And this is, again, another known series that everyone has. So we go anything, all the teeth, molars, etc., on that. Then, all right. I have to unfortunately move this around a bit. This came in last month. We'll go through that in a minute. That's a Native American collection from upstate. I also have known cast materials. This will be a classic. This is, again, a cast set, but this is Native, European on there, so males, females, again, with background information so that I do know what I'm looking at when I'm comparing modern on it. The guy with the sunglasses is also European. So I have things that will be African American, European descent, or African descent, European descent. I haven't bumped too much into Asian here, and talking to a few other folks, we're not too satisfied with some of the standards for Asians. That's kind of a mixed bag, and even in the Native American, it's a mixed bag. So those would be sort of what I do in forensics.
You find similarity between the Asian and the Native American?
Yes, but there are real distinct differences in the facial architecture on that. So it's not just measurements that I might do, and I have a series of calipers and things like that. I also will be doing something called morphometrics, where I'll take a look at a series of measurements, or I may actually look at what people do to develop prototypes, where we'll do a three-dimensional scan and then actually match the scans statistically against that in a math called Procustes analysis. So I could do the age at death, the sex at death. Well, those won't change too much, but the racial affinity is always a problem in forensics. They always want to know where the individual is, that kind of thing. Then on the Zoarc side, as I said, I'll show you some reference. You're noticing skulls all over the place, the hardest things to put away. But
I have that problem sometimes at home.